He was sentenced to an intensive corrections order with 300 hours of community service and 20 hours of counselling to be completed over 3 years.
Thomas Earl was found guilty of the act of indecency, not guilty of 2 other charges, and guilty of sexual intercourse without consent.
So initially I didn't want to go to the police. I'd watched enough friends kind of go through it and nothing happened. They didn't even go to trial, so I thought, no, there's no point. But I had the text messages from Thomas Earl admitting what he'd done.
I am so sorry for what I did last night. There's no excuse for my awful behaviour.
Can you sleep at night? Because I can't. Can you breathe? Because I can't. I can't function because of what you did.
I'm a stupid person who only considers what I want.
I trusted you. And you raped me.
At the time, Emily was 22 and working at the Israeli embassy in Canberra. When she reported her assault 14 months ago, she was given the number for the Canberra Rape Crisis Centre.
The wait list for counselling was 8 weeks. I needed counselling yesterday.
Are there any specific resources or things that are offered to you?
They offered to have a support person come with me to the evidence-in-chief recording, but it was like having a ghost in the room. She didn't say anything. I was on my own. Even with the prosecution team, it changed. Like every few months I had a different prosecutor. So I wasn't able to connect with anybody long-term. There was a victim liaison officer. She was amazing, but she was also the victim liaison officer for 20 other cases, so she was really busy.
What was that wait like from making the complaint to the trial, waiting for the trial?
I waited for a year for the trial, just over a year, and it's the first thing you think of when you wake up. It just followed you everywhere, and every moment I had of, oh, I'm happy, was kind of overshadowed by this feeling of dread that this horrible kind of experience is coming.
How did your life change over the course of it?
I got sleep paralysis every single night for about 6 months after the assault, and I would wake up thinking it was happening again. And the first time I was intimate again after the assault, I thought it was happening again, completely freaked out. And randomly, untriggered, I just have panic attacks, and I can't watch any TV that's got any elements of sexual assault because I feel like it's happening again. I feel like the walls are closing in. I feel like I'm dying.
So then what did it feel like day one of the trial?
I really thought he was going to plead guilty like at the last minute because I thought we have so much evidence. Surely they're not thick enough to take this to trial, surely. But then, I was pulling up to the courthouse with my mum and I was walking in and they requested that I wasn't in the room. So I had to give it from a remote witness room, which I pushed back against. I said, no, I want to be in the courtroom. It's not fair.
Had anyone warned you about cross-examination?
The prosecution team said to me, he's not allowed to berate you, he can't. He's not going to hound you, it's not going to be like the movies. They've got to be polite and everything. But the questions he was asking me weren't polite. He asked me what I was wearing. He told me I was consenting. That's not what I was expecting. I didn't think in 2023 I'd be asked what I was wearing.
How did you go answering all that stuff?
When he asked me what I was wearing, the judge shut it down. She said, why is that relevant? I remember after getting cross-examined, they said we would take a recess and they cut the camera that was connected to me and I just broke down in tears.
As part of the sentencing hearings, Emily was allowed to read a victim impact statement in the courtroom.
I would wash myself with bleach to try and kill any part of him that could have remained on my skin. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror without seeing the parts of myself that he helped himself to. Throughout the whole trial process, I felt like I'd had my voice removed. It was so important to me. I had written 10 drafts. I feel like I've been murdered, but my body has been left alive. My soul, my spirit, all the little things that make up Emily have been crushed. I want justice for him assaulting my body, sure. But what I really want is justice for him assaulting my spirit.
Emily wasn't allowed in the courtroom to hear the verdict. Instead, the prosecution team phoned her when it was over. Earl was found guilty on 2 charges, not guilty on the other 2.
So they acquitted him of those based on the fact that they thought that he may have thought he had consent. They didn't doubt for a second that I wasn't consenting, but they believed that for 2 and 3, he may have been mistaken. I aggressively disagree with that because I was asleep when it started. I did not respond until I said, wait. So for me, that felt like a cop-out.
Do you think that your good character was on trial as well?
Yeah, because I had previously had a relationship with this man, because I had consumed alcohol and marijuana on the night, or amyl nitrate as well, you know, because I had done those things, I wasn't credible. I mean, some people even said I deserved it.
Governments around Australia have been introducing what they call active and affirmative consent laws. They are designed to ensure that consent is sought and explicitly given before any sexual activity. The new laws in the ACT didn't come into effect until after Emily was assaulted and may or may not have affected her case. In any event, Thomas Earl was convicted and sentenced.
I was given a link to be able to listen in and watch what was going on. So I pulled over on the side of the road and I watched it. It was crushing. I slammed my hands on my steering wheel over and over, and I was just screaming. Just screaming and screaming, because I thought, how is this happening? I've had hundreds of messages from people, men and women, messaging me over the past few weeks saying, what's the point? Why is the justice system there if it's going to fail us so terribly?
What would you have considered justice to look like?
Jail time. Jail time. Even if it's a month. Because there's an element of fear going to jail. And I would love for him to feel even an ounce of the fear that I felt on the night he assaulted me.
Emily isn't pushing for an appeal on the sentence, but she is campaigning for change. No Justice in Community Service is targeting the ACT government's sentencing legislation.
It's considered a progressive state, but it is consistently letting women down. I just don't want anyone else to go through this. If I can protect one person from going through this, I'm happy with that.
The most telling words there were, what's the point? And that is not what anyone, and I'm sure in the criminal justice system and complainants, we don't want anyone to ever think that. And what that story speaks to more than anything is a need for a rehaul, so that complainants do feel more supported. Louise Milligan has written about this extensively in her book Witness, and she's got some really good ideas about how you would have someone to support these people that are coming forward, because they're not a witness to a crime, they're also the alleged victim. It's horrifying what they're put through to be more traumatised.
Because even if we take this case aside, there is a general consensus at the moment that, you know, the experience that you're talking about, Jessie, for sexual assault survivors in the courtroom needs to be improved. Surely it can be improved. Something needs to be done. And affirmative consent laws, of course, the education that is out there now for so many kids around Australia are so important, and it is getting stronger. I know friends who have teenagers who are like, we're so sick of learning about these laws, but it is so, so crucial, because this is the next generation that has to lead from the forefront, because a lot of people did not get that training. A link to Emily's campaign can be found on our website. And if you need help, contact 1800-RESPECT on 1800 737 732 or Lifeline 1311 14.